Hi everyone, welcome to today's music theory class. Today it's lesson 7 and we'll be considering minor scales with 4 sharps or 4 flats. My name is Lutana and I'm the facilitator for this particular lesson. Our learning objectives for today would be we'll revisit scale relativity. We've kind of touched on it in the grade 2 exercise, grade 2 class, but for this, because we want to deal with minor scales, we'll still kind of revisit scale relativity. And then specifically, we'll be considering constructing 6 major scales, 6 minor scales, apologies, 6 minor scales. We'll start from the scales of B, F sharp, and C sharp minor, both melodic and harmonic scales with and without key signatures. And you will understand why I grouped these first 3 and then grouped the next set of 3 scales of G, C, and F minor, both melodic and harmonic, with and without key signature. So 6 minor scales altogether. By the time you further subdivide them into melodic and harmonic scales, then you have 12 scales altogether. So that's what we'll be considering today. So let's get straight into it. Relative major and minor keys. You've done these things in grade 2. If you still don't understand it fully, please, I'll refer you back to the grade 2 class where this was treated for an extensive discussion on the topic. But just by way of reminder, by way of calling out, just revisiting it briefly, major and minor keys that share the same key signature are relatives. So these are, when you talk about relative major minor keys, these are major and minor keys that share the same key signature. For example, A minor and C major share the same key signature. So they do not have any, for this particular one, they do not have any sharp or flat. It's kind of natural. So it's A minor, it has it has 0 sharp or 0 and 0 flat, and C major also has 0 sharp and 0 flat. So they are both relatives. So you could say A minor is the relative minor of C major, or you could put it the other way around. C major is the relative major of A minor. It's important you know all these things. You should be able to know for every minor key, you should be able to find the relative major. For every major key, you should be able to find the relative minor, because that will help you when we want to start constructing the minor scale. So one thing you have to note is that the relative minor is just the 6th degree of its relative major. So for example, if we go back to C major, what's the relative minor of C major? The 6th degree. If you write the scale of C major, the 6th degree is A. So A minor is the relative minor of C major. So for any major scale, write out the scale. The 6th degree of that major scale starts a new minor scale that is the relative minor of that major scale. And this is very important because, like I said, it will become handy, it will come in handy when we start looking at our minor scales. And now, just to a bit further on relative major and minor keys, this is just to give you an idea of the different ways of looking at the relative major and minor keys. So for example, I've talked about key signatures that has 0 number of flats or sharps. That's C major, right? The relative minor is A minor. So A minor, no sharp, no flat. The relative major is C major. Now, 1 sharp, if you remember in your major scale, what key has 1 sharp? That's G major. If you write out the scale of G major, the 6th degree is E. So E minor also has 1 sharp. And the relative major of E minor is G major. And then you can go on like that. You have those with 2 sharps. There you have B minor, and the relative major is D major. 3 sharps, we're stopping at 4 sharps because the minor scales we want to consider for today are just up to 4 sharps and up to 4 flats. The same thing, the key with 1 flat, if you remember, is major scale with 1 flat, and the note that is flat in there is B. That's F major. So F major, 1 flat with B being the flattened note, If you write out the scale of F major, what is the sixth degree? F, G, A, B flat, C, D. D is the sixth degree, right? So that D is the relative minor. So it means that D shares the same key signature with its relative major F, and so it means D is as just one flat in terms of key signature. And you can do the same thing for two flats, three flats, four flats, like it's there listed on the table, as you could see. So for example, B flat has two flats. The relative minor is G. So G and B flats both share two flats. And C and E flat both share three flats. F minor and A flat major relatives both share four flats. So this is just to give you, like I said, get your major scale, write out the scale. The sixth degree is the minor scale that shares, that is the relative of the major scale that share the same key signature with the major scale. So for today, we will be considering, we've looked at this scale in grade 2. We have looked at the scale of A minor and E minor in grade 2. Also, we've looked at the scale of D minor in grade 2. So what we'll be considering in grade 3 will be minor scales that have two sharps. That's B minor, three sharps, F sharp minor, and four sharps, C sharp minor, as well as minor scales that have two flats, that's G minor, C minor, and then the ones that have four flats, F minor. So you could see already that these ones are in the sharp family: B minor, F sharp minor, and C sharp minor, because you could see that they share the key signature of their relative major, and their relative major is in the sharp family. So if the relative major is in the sharp family, it means the relative minor is also in the sharp family. And of course, this one, just 1 minute, please. Let me sort this out. Yeah. So this had this sharp. These ones are the flat family we'll be looking at. So you see that these are, because their relative major scales are in the sharp family, so they also belong to, they are relatives, so they share the same surname. If they are flats, then they are all flats. If they are sharps like this, then they are all sharps. Okay, so let's go straight into it now. Now, going back to grade 2, because you remember that we've done something, if you remember, we've kind of done something like that looks like, we've looked at A minor, we've looked at D minor, in grade 2. So how do we kind of construct let's start from the harmonic minor scale, because we'll look at the harmonic minor scale, then we also look at the melodic minor scale. You have to know the two. In grade 1, it doesn't matter, you can use either harmonic or melodic for your exams, but in grade 3 you have to know the two types of minor scales, because you'll be asked specific questions on them. So if you want to construct an harmonic minor scale, I'll just give you the guide, and I'll do just 1 or 2 examples, and then I'll leave you with the rest. The first thing you need to do is to derive the relative major. So for example, if I say construct the scale of C of C minor, then you have to find out, okay, C minor, what is the relative major of C minor? What major scale has C as the 6th degree? All right, so you have to think about the major scale that has C as the 6th degree. So that's one way you can think about it. Another way you can think about it to get the relative major from a minor scale is to look at what is the minor third. So looking at the third degree from that C, you count the third degree, and that third degree must be 3 semitones. So if you count C, D, E, all right, then you make it E flat, because if you say E, it's 4 semitones. No, it has to be three notes, but 3 semitones. So C, D, E flat. So you can see that the relative major of C is E flat. So it tells me that, okay, I've derived my relative major, for example, that's E flat. So you give whatever minor scale you asked to find, you have to derive, first of all, get the relative major. And one way of getting the relative major, it's two ways, or rather, of getting the relative major. One is, think about a major scale that has the 6th degree, its 6th degree as the minor scale you want to construct. Or if you can't think about that, look at that minor scale and calculate a minor third. We've not done what a minor third is, but let me just tell you in advance now. A minor third is the third step, the third degree from a note, as well as the distance between the first and that third note will be 3 semitones and not 4 semitones, 3 semitones. So you calculate 3 steps, 1, 2, 3, and the distance from the first to the third has to be 3 semitones. So it's either you make it a flat to be 3 semitones, or you remove, whatever it is. All right. So derive your major scale, which is very important, and now use the scale of the relative major starting from the 6th degree. So let's say you've derived the major scale. Oh, okay, this is the scale of E flat, for example. I mean, this let's take C minor, for example, and we've derived the major scale, which is E flat major, right? And we say, okay, E flat major. All right, so let me write out the scale of E flat major. You write out the scale of E flat major, but now, instead of writing out starting from E flat, which is the first note, to E flat, which is the 8th note, why don't you start from the 6th degree, which will be that C minor, from C minor to C minor. So from C to C. So the same scale of E flat, you are just rearranging it. Instead of starting from first note to the 8th note, you are starting from the 6th note now. All right, from the 6th note to the 5th note, or which will now be the upper 6th note. So it's just rearrange the old stuff. So that's what that second point is trying to say. It's very important. When you do that, what you've only done is to derive the natural minor of your minor scale. In this case, for example, C minor. All right, so you've derived the natural. You've not done anything. You've only rearranged the relative major. Instead of starting from the 1st degree, you are starting your relative major from the 6th degree. That 6th degree becomes your relative minor. So for your relative minor, that 6th degree becomes your first note, your key note, and that becomes a natural minor. So like I've said, I just said is that it means that the 6th degree of your relative major will now become the 1st degree, or the key note, of your harmonic minor. But in this case now, you've not, it's still natural, it's still a natural minor. You've not made it harmonic yet. I'll tell you what to do to make it harmonic. When you do that rearrangement, it's just natural minor. Now, when you do that, when you are making that arrangement, please maintain the semitones, the key signature, or the ascendant. So if you look at a major scale, you know where the semitones are. When you are rearranging, let the semitones be maintained, and I will explain more about that. And the key signatures should be maintained. So if there is a flat somewhere, that flat should also be there in that note when you are rearranging. You are not changing anything at all. You are only just rearranging the structure. Uh, Instead of starting from the 1st, you are now starting from the 6th of your relative major scale, and you maintain everything. Now, once you've gotten your natural minor, once you've done that, to now make it harmonic minor, you have to sharpen. So once you've rearranged everything, so your 6th note now is now assumed to be your 6th degree of your relative major scale is now your 1st degree of the minor scale you want to form. So you now have your 1st degree, 2nd degree, 3rd degree. Then you, just like you do for the major scale, you now have it for the minor scale, 1st to 8th degree, right? sharpen the seventh degree. Whatever the seventh note is, sharpen the seventh degree. Now, when you sharpen the seventh degree, what it does is that it makes the distance between the seventh and the eighth degree to be a semitone instead of a tone. Okay, and then when you do that, so it means that overall, the major scale will have two semitones, third and fourth, seventh and eighth. The harmonic minor scale will have three semitones. So when you form your harmonic minor scale, if you get it right, there should be a semitone between the second and the third note, between the fifth and the sixth note, and between the seventh and the eighth notes. And this arrangement is similar when whether you are ascending or descending, it doesn't matter, it's the same. So this let's now go straight to our like I said, I'm just going to do one and I'll leave you to figure out the rest because they are quite similar. In the exam, there are two ways you could be asked to represent an harmonic minor scale or identify an harmonic minor scale. You can be asked to do it with key signature or without key signature. In that case, just add the accidentals where they occur in the notes. So these three keys, these three scales here, minor scales here, B minor, F sharp minor, and C sharp minor, they are all in the sharp family. And like I said, because their relative major are also in the sharp family, so they just assume the key signature of their relative major. So I'll only do B flat, B minor, and I'll leave you with F sharp minor and C sharp minor. But like I said, the principles are the same. So let's think about the guidelines I gave at the initial. So I have a scale now. Number one, how do I know what this scale is? I look at the first note. Okay, it's B. So this has to be something related to B. Is it B major or B minor? Okay, what is the key signature? I look at B major doesn't have two sharps, so it cannot be B major then. So it's likely to be B minor. All right, so I look at B minor. Okay, what's the relative major of B minor? If you count three notes from B and three semitones, you will land on D. So it means it is D. So it means, and D has two sharps. So clearly this is B minor. Okay, this is B minor. So if you are to construct this scale, for example, now, you start from B. So I have D major. You have your D major. When you construct your D major, your sixth note is your B. So you start from B to B. And if you construct your scale from B to B, so this is B, you retain the key signature here. You understand? This is B, C, D. Remember this C is sharpened because in D major C is sharpened, but it's already sharpened here in your key signature, so you don't need to include it here again. So it's sharpened. B, C, D, E, F. F is also sharpened in D major, in D major. So but it's already here in the key signature, so you don't need to put it here again. So you have F, G, A, B. Now, why is this A sharpened? Remember we said sharpen the seventh note. So this is the seventh degree from B. So we sharpen it. It shouldn't be in the key signature. You sharpen the note separately and then you get to B. Now I didn't add it here because it just discovers, it's the sharp here affects this. But if you are to do it on a different scale, let's say there's already a bar line, then I have to add a new sharp here if there were to be a bar line. All right, so don't forget that, and then you keep on going like that till you get to B. So that's just very, very straightforward. Whatever you're asked to construct, just find out what is the relative major, put the key signature there, and then just go write everything straight on from the first note to the eighth note, and then sharpen the seventh note. Now you are not done yet. You need to add your accidentals, and remember there are three levels of accidentals for harmonic minor scales. What did I talk about? The second and the third. You slow the second and the third, the fifth and the sixth, and the seventh and the eighth. And when you're also coming down, you do the same. You do the same. Oh, sorry, my mistake, please. Apologies. Cancel this. Cancel this. This is supposed to be. Yeah. So correct. Yeah, sorry, I got it right. My fault. Yeah, this is correct. Yeah, and this is correct, 5th and 6th, or 6th and 5th, depending on whether you are ascending and descending, and 2nd and 3rd. So that is it. So this is with key signature. But if you come here without key signature, you'll find out that nothing is here, and I'm deliberately using the bass clef because you can be tested on the treble clef or on the bass clef, so you have to be comfortable with everything. So, and you ask to if I ask you, for example, to identify what key is this, it's going to be pretty much difficult because there is no key signature here, and then you may be thinking, oh, is it C major because there is no key signature here? No, what you need to do is, if you want to know what this key is, you need to kind of collect all the sharps that are here ascending. Just use ascending for now. Collect all the sharps. So what are sharpened there? C is sharpened. What else is sharpened? F is sharpened and A is sharpened. So you have C, F, A. Already you know these are three sharps. So you ask yourself, the key that has three sharps, which letters are sharpened? The F, C, and definitely not A. So you know that, okay, that cannot be then that there is no major scale with three sharps with FCA. So it means that maybe one of the sharp is an accidental for a minor scale. It has to start ringing. So it's okay, let me, what of, is there, you reduce the number, is there any is there any key that has two sharps? Now let's look at two sharps. So two sharps, you have F and C. And this contains F and C. Okay, so why is A just, why can't we, where does A come in? And then you start thinking, okay, maybe this is B minor, because if maybe B is B minor, and then A is the 7th degree that is sharpened, and B minor is the relative minor of D major. So you need to kind of do those calculations. But just to construct this, you start from your B, you sharpen where the sharps come in, you sharpen them, and then you add your accidentals. You add your accidentals as to your core. You see, because of this bar line now, a new accidental is added here. Okay, so that's very key. So please, so this is that. So this is how to construct your harmonic minor scale. Just get your relative major, and then the 6th degree of your relative major becomes your key note in your relative for your minor scale. Go from that note to the 8th note, and then sharpen the 7th note while retaining the sharps or the accidentals in the relative major. I hope that is clear enough. And then of course you can do the rest for F sharp. Is similar. In this case you just have three sharps, or C sharp minor. In this case you just have you just have four sharps. So that kind of tells you that the relative major for this is E major. So it's E major. So you just get your four sharps there, and then you go from C to C to C to C. Already the C has been sharpened because we are talking of E major. Okay, so the C has been sharpened here in the key signatures of E major. So you don't need to put another C sharp here. No, it's not necessary. Don't put any sharp because already sharpened. But if you are doing the accidentals like this, you have to put it. Okay, so that is for the sharp family that we'll be considering. Now we're also looking at three minor scales in the flat family: G, C, and F minor. These are flat family because their relative majors scales belong to the flat family. So like as usual, I'll only do one, and then I'll leave you to do the rest. So for now, I'll leave you to do G, but let me do C. Or maybe I should do the last one. Let me do F minor. You can use that to do G and C. So if you look at this and you ask what key is this, for example, maybe you see this in an exam and you ask, okay, what's the key? The key, you look at, this is a scale, so this first note should tell us what the key is. So you see this first note is F, but is it F major or F minor? Definitely it's not F major because F major has one flat, but I'm seeing four flats here. So it means if it is not F major, then it has to be F minor. But is it F harmonic minor? Okay, I have to find out whether the 7th note is sharpened. After I've been able to sound, you can figure out here that the 7th note is sharpened. But let's construct the scale. Let's see how the scale is constructed. This is with key signature. So you have So here you have the flats, right? So we've already figured out that the relative major for F minor is D major is a sorry, the relative major for F minor is A flat major. F G A. Remember I told you how to find it. Just count three and make sure it's three semitones. F G A. If you say F G A, it is three, but it's four semitones. So I have to say A flat. So F G A flat. So that's three notes, three steps, three degrees, and three semitones. So A flat major is the relative major force. That's why I use the key signature of A flat major. Everything here, the key signature of A flat major is what we are using here, as you can see. All right. So I start from F. Now that I've gotten my key signature, just put it there and just start from F and go to F. Don't, like I said, don't add anything, don't add any extra. Just write the natural stuff as if you're writing a major scale, but now you're starting from what was the sixth degree in the relative major. In this case, F is the sixth degree of A flat. So we start from F, which will now be the first degree of our F minor scale. So we should do F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F. Now, this is supposed to be sharpened, right? But you can see that they used a natural, we used a natural sign there. Why didn't we sharpen it like this? Why did we use it? Why did we use a natural sign? The simple reason is because already this E here is already flattened in the key signature. As you can see, this is E, it's already flattened in this. So this is what you have here originally was E flat. What you have here originally was E flat, all right? Was E flat. So if you want to sharpen a flattened note, what do? You add a natural sign to it. You can't just add a sharp. No, you add a natural. If the note is natural, nothing there before, then you add a sharp. If the note is a flat, that if it was a flat note that was there before originally, natural, it was a flat note, then you now want to sharpen it, as in terms of sharpening your seventh note, you add a natural sign. The natural sign definitely neutralizes the flat. So if it is a sharp that is there, and then you want to sharpen it again to make it two sharps, now you add a double sharp. We're going to come to that later. Maybe not in this, maybe in grade 4, you'll be seeing double sharps and double flats. But for now, note that when you are dealing with minor scales of the flat family, you'll be using a lot of natural signs because these are flat family, and to if the flat falls on the seventh note, for you to sharpen the seventh note, you have to add a natural sign, to kind of raise it by a semitone. So that's why this natural sign is here. I hope that makes sense. Okay, now descending also is the same thing, like I see we didn't had here supposed to also be a natural sign, but because this natural sign there is no bar line here, so we just kind of, but if there was a bar line here, I will have to add another natural sign here. Okay, so now if you are doing the without key signature accidentals, you start from F. So you just know that, okay, what are all the notes that are flattened in this key signature here? That's key signature of A flat. They are what? So this is F. Remember, this is bass clef. So this is F, G, A flat, B flat, C, D flat. All right. Now look at this. Think about this. Don't be confused. Here now we didn't even add any natural sign, but here we added a natural in this part here. We added a natural sign. Why shouldn't I just add a natural sign? There is no point adding a natural sign here. The reason is because there is no point adding a natural sign here. Already, once you don't just remove, once instead of adding the natural sign, just remove the flat. Yeah, because we cannot let me just clean this up to make it a bit tidy. Because we cannot remove this flat, just remove it and say we want to. So we have to add a natural sign here to show that we are neutralizing the impact of this flat. But here, because the flat that was there originally, the E flat that was there originally, is just attached to this note. It's not on the key signature here. So it means we can just remove it and just say it's, just don't add any natural sign. Just leave it natural as it is. I see it like that. I know it's natural. So please know the trick between this. If you have the flat in the key signature and you want to sharpen the seventh note, you have to add a natural sign. If you have the flat as an accidental, which is not in the key signature originally, and now you want to make it an harmonic scale by sharpening that seventh note, you don't need to add a natural sign. Just remove the flat. The note becomes natural. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So basically, this is how to construct harmonic minor scales. I will advise you to practice on your own. Do lots of practices, do lots of questions around this. There could be different ways. You could be given a note and they will tell you to identify what the key is. Most like sometimes accidentals, and then you'll be asked to identify. Don't mix it up. Understand? Get the relative major. Try to get the relative major. What's the key signature? And then is the seventh note sharpened? If the seventh note is sharpened, then yes, and this could be tricky. And let me just mention something before we move on, please. Let me mention something. If you look at this, for example, let's go back to this. If I give you this and I ask you what key is this, number one, if you look at the first note, you say, oh, F, F. It cannot be F major because F major has just one flat. So if it's not F major, then it could be F minor. All right, but you want to convince yourself now, okay, F minor is, what's the relative major of F minor? Is A flat. So I should be seeing four flats. But here, why am I seeing three flats? I'm only seeing three flats here. Oh, you might say now, I'm thinking, oh, maybe it's not even F minor. Maybe it's the relative minor of the major scale that has three flats. No, it's not that way. It's still, don't worry about that. It's still, you look at it, it's three flats, right? Good. But look at the seventh, always look at the seventh note. Is the seventh, do you think that if I flatten the seventh note, is the fourth flat, are the four flats complete in the flat that make up the A flat major? So if I flatten back the seventh note that maybe originally that had been sharpened to make it harmonic, does it kind of restore back the order? So you have to play around with this. So don't just say, well, because I see three flats, then it's the relative minor of the major scale with three flats. You'll get it wrong. You have to be sure. So this is actually F minor, and the relative major has four sharps, but in terms of writing out the accidentals, you can see that only three sharps are appearing. I mean, sorry, only three flats are appearing because one flat has been neutralized out as a result of sharpening the seventh note. So please note that very, very importantly. All right, so now we go on to melodic minor scale. Melodic minor scale. I'm not going to waste time here, all right, because some of the things have, if you understand the harmonic minor scale very well, then the melodic minor scale is just a little bit of difference. Now, to construct a melodic minor scale, you derive your relative major, like I've said. Do the same thing, get your natural minor, go from the sixth degree of a major scale, that's your natural minor. From the sixth degree, that sixth degree of a major scale becomes the first degree of your melodic minor scale. That should be melodic, please. Note that correction. This should be, in fact, this should not be there. So this, because what we are still at the natural minor scale. So when that sixth degree of the relative major is now your first degree, the keynote of your minor scale, your natural minor scale for now, because we don't, at this point, we have not made it harmonic or melodic. It's just natural minor. It's what we do after this step that determines whether it is natural or whether it is harmonic or whether it is melodic. Like I said, when you are doing all those things, please retain the key signature at the first. Retain the key signature, retain any accidental, retain the key, the semitones, everything, retain them, everything you have borrowed from this relative major scale. When you change the arrangement from the six from using the 6th degree now to start your scale to form your minor, retain all the arrangements. But now, like I said, it is what you do after now that determines whether it is an harmonic minor or a melodic minor. If you sharpen only the 7th note, then it is an harmonic minor. But if you sharpen the 6th and the 7th note, 6th and 7th note while ascending, please take note of that. This is very important. While ascending, then it is a melodic minor. So because you sharpen the 6th and the 7th note while ascending, semitones only occur between the 2nd and the 3rd note and the 7th and the 8th note of a melodic minor while ascending. While ascending. So when you are giving any work on melodic minor, you have to be sure, is this ascending or is this descending? The way you ascend is different from the way you descend. It's not like harmonic scale where the ascending is the same as the descending. So when you are descending, what do? When you are descending, remove the 2 sharps and go back to the natural minor. That's just it. So those 2 sharps that you 6th and 7th, you clean them off and you go back to the natural minor. You know the natural minor, this part. You go back to this part. This part. That's it. So it means that you now have semitones only in your 2nd and 3rd, and then 5th and between 5th and 6th notes. So you could see that there is a difference in the semitones when you are ascending 7th and 8th, 5th and 6th. Only 2nd and 3rd appears in both ascending and descending. So please note that I will repeat myself again for emphasis. In the melodic minor, everything we did in the harmonic minor is the same. The only difference is that you are now sharpening the 6th note in addition to the 7th note only when ascending. But when you are descending, you remove them. You remove them. Now let's look at 1 or 2 examples. So let's go back to let's look at F sharp melodic minor. F sharp melodic minor. F sharp melodic minor. What's the relative major? If you think about it, F G A. So F sharp G A. You'll find out that that's from F sharp G to A is 3 semitones and it's 3 steps. So A major. All right. So F sharp is A major. That's the relative major is A major. That's why it has, you can see it has 3 sharps here. Okay. It has 3 sharps. So, but if you look at this, you find out that this is F. Now, if they ask you what key is this note, you may say, oh, it's F major. No, it's not F major, because you should know that F major is a flat family, right? But you may say, oh, it's starting from F. Is it F minor? No, it's not F minor, because the relative major of F minor is what? The relative major of F minor is, we did it in, is A flat. A flat. So it's also so F minor is also a flat family. But this is a sharp family. So you should say, oh, maybe this is F sharp. And of course, you should know it's F sharp, because if you look here already, you find out that F is sharpened. So anywhere you see F here is sharp. So this is F sharp. All right. So we look at F sharp. Okay. So we look at F sharp now. So you say F sharp. All right. This is the scale of A major that is rearranged starting from F sharp minor now. So if you look at it, everything is the same, natural, just going up. The only difference, as you can see, is that this is the 6th note sharpened, this is the 7th note sharpened. So when you just write your F sharp from F sharp to upper F sharp, remember the F sharp is in the key signature, so you don't need to add another sharp to your F. When you finish writing the natural, then just add the 2 sharps where they need to be, 6th and 7th. And when you do that, like I said, your keys, your semitones when you are ascending is 2nd and 3rd, and then is 7th and 8th. But when you are descending, you can see that I added natural signs to knock out this. Now, the reason I added natural signs is because there is no bar line here. All right, there are no bar lines here. You could see there are no bar lines here. There are no bar lines here. If there are no bar lines here, then it means this sharp will be affecting this note. So I need to put a natural sign to show that this sharp is not affecting this note and this sharp is not. But if there was a bar line here, I don't need these natural signs. I just need to put only the note, because I've already, just like I told us in the previous time, that if the sharp is not in the key signature, if you want to remove the sharp or the flat, just put a natural, don't put a natural sign, don't just add the sharp or don't just add the flat. So that's how, so we just remove it, and then it will show that this is just a natural note by itself. But because there is this no bar line here, so this sharp could be affecting this, so we have to really show a natural sign there. So if you want to do the if you want to go through the accidental method, so you go from F sharp, to G sharp. Then this is the scale of A major. Like I said, the scale of A major that you have rearranged, starting from F sharp, which is the 6th degree in A major. So if you write out the scale of A major, you start from F sharp, the 6th degree, to F sharp. Don't add anything. It will be F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp. It should be D, E, and F sharp. But because we have to sharpen this 6th and 7th note, so if you look at this, originally in the scale of A major, these two are not sharpened. These two are not sharpened, right? It's only this, and this. If you remember, it's only F, G, or F, C, and G, F, G, and C that is sharpened in the scale of A major. So, but because we need to sharpen the 6th and the 7th note, that is why you have this sharp here now. We added this sharp, so that makes it melodic. So I can add, as usual, my semitones where they occur. Now, I didn't do something. So when you are coming down here, please remember semitones, semitones here. Don't forget, please. 5th and 6th, 2nd and 3rd. All right. So okay. Yes, apologies that there is a mistake. There is a mistake here, please. Let me write the right thing. So, please, there is a mistake here, please. For this, without accidentals, there is a mistake. So, cancel this, not correct. Cancel this, not correct. Cancel this, not correct. But the ascending is correct. Okay, the ascending is correct. Now, for the descending, what you just simply need to do is to rewrite everything, and then when you get to this point, this one here, you add a natural sign, as well as this one here, you add a natural sign to show that you are removing the sharpened 6th, and you are naturalizing the sharpened 6th and sharpened 7th. So that's just the only difference. And of course, the semitones will now have to change from this to this, from this to, sorry, yeah, yeah, the semitones change from 5th to 6th, and from 3rd to 2nd. So please, let's note that, please, that this is because this, in this case now, the sharps were retained. So that's the problem. The sharps were retained. They're not supposed to be retained. So that was a mistake on my part. Sincere apologies for that, please. So difference between harmonic and melodic is clear. Get your relative major, draw your minor scale from a relative major, maintain the same if it is key signature or accidentals, maintain everything. And if you are doing harmonic, just add 7th. If you are doing melodic, add 6th and 7th. And when you are coming down for only melodic, you remove the sharps that you have added, either with a natural sign, if there is no bar lines demarcating the ascending and the descending. But if there is a bar line demarcating the descending and descending, you don't need to add a natural sign. Just add the notes alone without any symbol. That shows that it is natural. Okay, so we'll end up with this melodic. This is for the flat family now, and it's kind of similar to some of the things we've kind of done with the flat family for the harmonic. So you may be seeing lots of natural signs, because you want to kind of sharpen the seventh. So when you are ascending, for example, let's look at G minor. So if you look at G minor, the relative major of G minor is B flat. If you count G, A, B, B flat. So 3 degrees, 3 semitones, B flat. So that's the relative major. That's why you have this two flats. Okay, so you start from G minor, G, A, B, G, A, B flat. Remember the flat, B is flat in there. G, A, B flat, C, D. Now this is supposed to be E flat. Remember, it's supposed to be E flat because in the scale of B flat, E is flattened. But because we need to sharpen the seventh note, what do I do to sharpen a flat? Remember, to sharpen a flat that is represented here, to sharpen it, I have to add a natural sign, which is what is done here. You have to add a natural sign, and then you have F. So F has to be sharpened. So sixth and seventh. So this sixth and seventh. So you see, the sixth note is sharpened by adding a natural sign because that note is originally flattened in the key signature. So I have to add a natural sign to show that I am raising it by a semitone. And then the seventh note is natural already. So I now have to add a sharp tone you have to know the right kind of symbol to use to raise a semitone. Whether you are using a natural to raise a semitone for a note that is flattened in the key signature, or you are using a sharp to raise a semitone for a note that is natural already. And then, of course, when you do that, definitely ascending your semitone is this seventh and eighth and second and third. Now, when you are descending, look at when we are descending now, I add a natural sign here to remove this sharp. Now, what do I do here? I cannot add it because it's already a natural sign. I want to go back to the original note. Remember what's the original note? What I'm just trying to say, what is the original note in that sixth degree that I sharpened? It was a flat that was there. That's E flat. So I want to go back to that original note when I'm descending. If I don't put anything here, now if I don't put anything here, remember, because there is no bar line here, all right, this natural sign is still affecting this particular E. But I want to tell my readers that this is E flat. It is E flat and not E natural. So I have to add a flat to naturalize, to flatten, go back to my natural E flat instead of the natural E that I have here as a result of the raised sixth. So that is that about the G minor. So understand what I want you to understand here is how you ascend, and the same thing when you are if you are doing the if you are doing this, you just put the flat where they are. There's a flat here because this is B flat, right? And this is supposed to be E flat, but you can see now because there is no flat in the key signature, I just left this note like that. I didn't add any natural. I only had natural if the flat is in the key signature. All right. And then when I'm descending, because I have to add a flat, because already I have to take away, this is just knock away yeah, it's supposed to have a natural sign. Apologies because this sharp is also affecting this. So you want to put a natural sign there to show that this sharp is not affecting this particular seventh note again. And then we just had a flat sign here because we don't have anything in the key signature, so we have to kind of have a flat sign there. So that brings us that's all about you could do for C minor and F minor. So it's quite a very lengthy class because we have to cover melodic, harmonic, this three sharp family, four flat sharp, and three sharp family, three flat family. So in your exams, what you will be given is you won't be given any minor scale that is above four sharps or above above four flats. So whatever minor scale you are working on, think within the aspect of either it is one flat or one sharp, two, three, four sharps or flats. So you should think around that perspective. So lastly, as we wrap up, in conclusion, remember your relative major. Know the appropriate degrees to sharpen, whether it is harmonic or melodic. And ask yourself, is this ascending the same as descending? For harmonic, yes. For melodic, no. So it's very important that you take all these things into perspective, and as and practice a lot, because it's not something you just do by listening. You need to practice different exercises to be acquainted with how to maneuver your way amongst these minor scales. And to help you do that, this is the exercise for this topic. Exercises 1 to 3 on page 20. With that, I want to say thank you for listening, and I hope you found this class very instructive and very informative. Feel free to pass your questions across to me through the email that has been provided in the comment section. Bye, and God bless you.